This is a BSA unit single, and they came in various shapes and sizes. They started off with the C15, I think, which is a 250 single, and they worked their way up to the B50, which was quite a big 500 single. And this one's sort of in the middle. It looks like a Starfire or Barracuda, but it's not. It's a B44, or is it a B40? No, it's a B44 is what it is. It's 441 cc's. So it's quite a big pot on it, and it is a Victor Roadster. And from BSA. It's a lovely tank badge, that is. Anyway, it's up on the bench, and I thought while it was up on the bench I'd show it to you, and because they're quite unusual, these bikes. You don't see a lot of them in the UK. And you see quite a few of these. This is the sort of trials version, and that's a Victor Special. And back in the day, which would be about 65 to 70, they were very well known on the competition circuit. And I think it was a guy called Jeff Smith, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, who made these bikes famous, and also made them profitable, because as BSA always used to say, win on a Sunday, sell on a Monday. And the weekend trials, scrambles, and all the rest of it, meetings, were highly competitive, and thousands of people used to attend them, and you know, everybody wanted a winning bike. And BSA were very good at producing winners, in spite of what people will tell you. I don't know why people are so down on them. There's no question BSA knew what they were doing when they made bikes, and this is a fantastic bike. It's come to me really not by accident, but as part of it was a part exchange, and I had a big Triumph 1200 motorbike, and which weighed about a quarter of a ton, and I just didn't like it. I was quite desperate to get rid of it, and there wasn't a lot of interest out there, so I advertised it that I'd be willing to take a part exchange, and somebody offered me some sort of deal that included this, and so I thought, well, I'll load the Triumph up, and we'll in the van, and we'll go off and have a look at it, and if it's okay, and then it's okay. And it was very okay, really. I did make him start it, and I could see that he wasn't entirely happy about starting it, and I think the reason for that is these bikes have got a terrible reputation as a leg breaker. I'm not really too keen on bikes of that ilk myself, but I haven't had any trouble starting it. And this is a 441 cc single pot motor, as you can see, and the compression ratio is about 9.5 to 1. So the later model B50, I think, is at least 10 to 1, if not a tiny bit more. And I could look it up in this book. It's just the B50 I'm talking about here, which is the last sort of big BSA single that they made before everything went to hell in a handcart, really. And very sadly, that was their pretty much our last bike. This is the Rupert Ratio manual and unit single engine manual for BSA C15, B40, B25, B44 and B50. And they sort of appeared pretty much in that order chronologically. So the C15 was the first one, and we do actually have two more of them. We've got a C15 engine, but not in a BSA, and we've got a B25 as well, which is also a Victor, but it's more modern. It's the oil and frame Victor. And that particular bike's come back from the States, and I'm supposed to be re-registering it here in the UK, but I haven't done it yet, and must get on with that before they change their mind about imports or historic registrations or whatever else they can find to change their minds about. And so in the meantime, here am I with this. It's not a bike I would ever really have considered buying. One of the reasons is you just don't see them. It's if you look on eBay, you'd be lucky to find another one of these, I think. You might find quite a few of those, as they were very, very popular here. But the road-going version, not so much. I don't know why. I think this was available as a 250, and that, of course, would have been, back in those days, would have been learner legal, wouldn't it? Because you could ride a 250 then, and without a license. And then they changed the laws when, RD 250s and stuff like that started coming in. They thought that perhaps they were a little bit, the performance, let's put it this way, was a bit more than it would have been with the old C11 or something like that. But anyway, so 1968, this one, and it's very analog, particularly compared to the Triumph I've just got rid of. So we got a full width hub at the front with a single leading shoe, and a pretty minimal stopper on the back wheel there. But it works actually surprisingly well. I just took this to a bike night, a bike meeting 2 days ago, and that meant climbing up from here, where we're nearly at sea level, to about 1400 feet, and then down the other end to back down to sea level, and cope with that very well. But the guy I got it from did tell me that he thought the clutch might be slipping, and indeed it is. So on the way back up the hill to the top, up to the top of the moor, I was having a little bit of trouble with the engine overtaking the drive a little bit, and so I've got to investigate further and find out what's going on. With regard to starting it, and other big singles and all the other unit singles, because the unit single does not have a choke. So if we look on the handlebars here, we've got the front stopper here and the accelerator, and then on the other side we've got the clutch, and we've got a decompression lever here. No choke, and no advance and retard switch either. Just pretty simple. Clutch, front brake, and the decompressor. And this is what's sometimes called a valve lifter. So you pull that one up, and you can turn the motor over without encountering any resistance with the kickstart. So here's what to do. We've got an ignition switch on, which is actually on the other side of the bike. It's positioned opposite this, but on the other side. And here on the carburetor, we got a tickler here. So when you press that down, you press the float down, which floods the float chamber, and the fuel will come out from the bottom of this and or underneath this part of it, and it will spill over a bit, and you'll be able to see when you flooded it. Well, then if you, with the ignition still switched off, if you pull in the decompression lever and kick it over a couple of times, so you've sucked a little bit of juice into the cylinder, then you release that to the position, that decompression lever to the position it's in now, and just find top dead center here, so that you can't press that anymore, because you're on your top of your compression stroke. Then pull that in and just knock that over a tad, take it down about an inch or two on that. Let go of it so it'll ping back up to the top again. Let go of that, put the ignition on and kick it, and it should start, and it does. It's actually a very good starter. Now this bike, I mean, basically it's 1968, so 70. What are we looking at? It's 50. It's 55 years old, isn't it? 55 years old, and so in common with most of these 55-year-old bikes that's still running, the majority of them have had a rebuild at some stage, and this one certainly has. How would you know? Well, it's very shiny, and the paint's very shiny, and the chrome's pretty good. But you know what? I think the mudguards could be original. I think the wheel rims may have been rebuilt, because I would expect to see a little bit of rust somewhere, and I can't. And other than that, I think most of it is it's really quite original, in as much as it's been rebuilt. It hasn't been messed about with, nothing untoward or unstandard, I don't think, has been put on it. I can't say I'm an expert on this particular mark, I'm not, but I've had about 4 unit singles, but they've all been 250s. If you check this one out here on the engine number, you can see it's a B44B. Now here there's a YR, and I think it might be supposed to be a VR, and somebody couldn't find the V, or it's a party company with the rack of numbers, and they used the nearest thing. I don't know, I'm guessing, but here's another clue as to it being rebuilt. First of all, if we look at the brake pedal here, there's no wear on it. So since it was rebuilt, I don't think it's done much work, and it's not leaking any oil at all. There's plenty of oil in it, but it's not leaking any oil, and it isn't wet sumping, which is unusual for these unit single engines, particularly the oil in frame ones seem to wet sump quite badly. I know they're not supposed to, but all 4 of mine have. Now here's the thing, if you look at these fasteners that hold the chain cases onto the crankcases here, they're Allen keys, or hex keys if you want to call them that, and they shouldn't be. They should look more like that, but even this one here's a posi drive, and I don't think it should be. I don't think we had posi drive when this was made. We'd have had Phillips head, and they could be, these screws here could resemble that or that from the factory. They would not have been these, and you should avoid those, really, I think, unless you're very, very careful when you put them in and do them up, because people have a habit of tightening those up with torque wrenches and socket ratchets and that sort of thing, socket sets, and they strip threads. This is all alloy, all of it, is alloy both sides. So if you do that up too tight, you can pull the thread out of here, and you don't want to pull your threads out of your crankcase. It's a bad idea. And I know you can helicoil and all that sort of thing, but a helicoil is a helicoil, and if you can avoid that being introduced into the engine, you should. And one way of doing that is just using a screwdriver to do them up, because a screwdriver has its own torque setting built into it, really, and you know what I mean. And it's difficult to over tighten it. Anyway, so I think we've got a rebuild here, and we still got the original tank and side panels on it, which are fiberglass, and they are original. And it's been nicely lined, that tank. It's got a lovely sort of Monza cap on it. I don't know if you can see it. Can't see what I'm looking at. And all the bits. It's got one clock, which is correct, and all the bits are nice and original. And yeah, it's a lovely thing, really nice thing, and went very well over to the bike meet. Just shame about the slipping clutch, really, which I had to investigate a bit more. But anyway, what I chiefly like about it is such a pretty bike, and everything is in the right place. Very comfortable to ride, very relaxing, handles beautifully, and the brakes work. You know, they're not what you might be used to. Depends how much into classic bikes you are, really, but it's a lovely thing. It is a nice thing. So yeah, there we are. That's a new one to me, and I'm a bit loath to take it to bits, so I don't really want to start performing kind of open engine surgery on it, and I hope that I might be able to adjust my way out of that clutch slip. Yeah, well, you can live in hope. And there we are. So like and subscribe to the channel, and keep in touch with us, and you know, it helps push a bit of information out there, which I think is you know, and I hope is enjoyable. Anyway, thanks for joining us for that.